morning, Mother Oafers. Hey, good morning, everybody. It is Dave Bernard, and it's time to ride. Here we go. Hope everybody's doing good this morning. As the title says, what the heck did my doctor say to me? Before we get started with that, just going to give you a little backstory on who I am. I am Dave Bernard. I'm a 47-year-old fat man. And I found out last fall that I had an umbilical hernia, and my surgeon decided that I need to have surgery. And when I went in for my appointment the day before the surgery, he basically said that there'd be quite a few complications if I didn't lose some weight. Now, I've been powerlifting for a few years now and putting on some size, part of what caused their hernia itself. And so anyways, long story short, he said you needed to lose weight, and so I've decided to get on the bike. I am riding a Raleigh Willard 2 gravel bike attached to a Wahoo Kickr 2018 model, and I've committed to riding every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday mornings at 7 a.m. Eastern Time. And for today, that's enough. You are caught up. So if you've been following my journey at all, hang on while I get things set up on the phone. We'll get there here in a second. That's one thing, if you guys are going live with your videos, you're going to learn that something's going to go wrong. And this morning, there we go. So this morning, that was my phone that I use for, the phone that I actually use for monitoring Facebook. While I'm doing this, I forgot to put on a charger, so I'm actually using my other phone. And so that takes a little bit of time going on. So whenever you're doing lives, you're just going to find out there's always going to be something that goes wrong. You just got to stay calm and not worry about it and fix it. Now, I will tell you, anybody else, hey, good morning, Scott. I will tell you that anybody else that's, going through this, sometimes the worst case scenario is you actually have to restart your computer. But usually everything will start working. We'll get into the doctor story here in a minute. I know I've got a lot of new followers lately, and a lot of them are online marketers, and so they're curious as to what is kind of the nerdy hardware software stuff that I use. So we'll go into that a little bit this morning. So I use a system or a program called OBS Studios. And that's where a lot of the streaming action starts and comes from. And I can teach anybody that wants me to help them. If you want to figure it out on your own, there are plenty of YouTube videos. Just realize that not all of them are accurate because the software does get updated. And just like anything else, what worked yesterday may not work today. And so I have no issue coaching you along as you try to set yours up. But OBS Studio is where this whole thing starts. And so that's what's kind of allowing me to actually stream this. And then for a webcam, I use a Canon Vixia HF-R400 camcorder. That model doesn't necessarily exist anymore. So the closest thing to that right now would be a Canon HF R80, R82, or an R800. Any one of those models will work. What they have that actually makes it doable is they have an HDMI out and they don't have a length. So camcorders don't have a length issue where a DSLR mirrorless camera actually does. So you'll run into 30-minute issues. And I am going to be testing Android and iPhones as an alternative too, and I'll share that with you guys as we go through that process. But the camcorder itself is hooked to a video capture device. The one that I choose to use, because it's the easiest, is an Elgato Cam Link, but you can use their HD 60, 62S. Any one of those models will work. If you've already got one for, let's say, your kids and they're doing online gaming, or even yourself, those will work, but Cam Link works pretty easy. And what Cam Link will do from Elgato is it will just turn it into a into a webcam. You get a little bit better video quality when you use a DSLR or mirrorless camera, but the real advantage that you get, and it's why I choose to use it, is what you don't get from a phone. So when you use a phone, or if you use a regular webcam, you can't zoom in. And so when you're trying to use green screens like I am right now, you end up not being able to zoom in, and it makes it very difficult to actually get it set up. So using a camcorder, which these are under $200 by the way, kind of gives you that ability to make it work and not be as frustrated as you might be using anything else. So it's an interesting, thing you got to go through as far as like trying to get set up and see what works for you. A lot of people think that they have to use these fancy cameras, but if you're just doing vlogging, or if you're trying to get an all-around camera, not camera, but for video only, if you're a photographer, then by all means get a DSLR or a mirrorless camera. But if you're just trying to do video, then I think these Canon Vixias are great. The other thing that they have that's very important is they have a microphone in port, which allows you to put an external microphone on them, which again also is very important. So enough nerd talk about all that. Oh, and one more thing. One complaint that a lot of people will make with a camcorder is that they don't have a wide enough lens, and you can buy kits to put wide enough or wider lenses on, or zoom lenses, or filters, or anything. So they are not as limited as you think, and those kits are like $40 to buy those wide angles. So they're not. It's a good option. Let's just leave it at that. So I can use mine for many things. I take them when I film my daughters when they're on their horseback riding lessons. I use it as a webcam. I can use it as a vlogging camera. I have, but right now I've been testing a new phone for that, and so that's part of it. The next thing that I'm using, so if you didn't know this, I'm actually streaming on 3 separate platforms right now. I'm streaming on YouTube Live, obviously Facebook Live, that's where most of you are watching right now, and also on Twitch. Twitch is a service that's provided by Amazon, and if you're an Amazon Prime member, you actually are there already. You may just not know it. And so you can actually stream on all 3 of those platforms at once. It takes a little bit of know-how to actually make it work, but Restream.io is the program that you're going to want to use. Also, within Restream, there's also a chat feature. And so, as you'll notice on my screen, which again is something you have to learn how to set up, you'll see that through multiple platforms there are people coming in from Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook, and they're able to actually see their chats up on the screen. Now, I have the chats rolling on the screen so you can see them, but I actually have a separate chat box open on a split screen so that I can actually read them because I'm old and blind. So that's part of that's the other thing that I'm doing. So I have a chatting box open, but everything's being housed really at OBS Studio. I'm also, like I said, using Restream. I have a gaming computer, and it's not because I game, but it's because it has a graphics card that can handle all of this, so that can be an issue for some people, but there is a way around it. And like I said, if you need some coaching to get set up, I have no problem working with you. We just got to fit it into my schedule. So, and what else? Oh, and then I'm also running two different 32-inch LG split monitors. And these monitors, what they do, yes, they are large, but I need them to be able to see. But what they actually offer is software that allows you to split the screens in whatever way you need to. And so I don't have it set up that crazy. You know, I've got my OBS Studio running on one side, and then I've got my chat box in another side, and then on another screen I have the Zwift game, and so it's capturing off of that. And then of course I'm running no copyright sound in the background for just to make a little bit of background music. One thing that you'll find out when you're running music on most of these platforms is that you don't want to run copyrighted music. And so no copyright sound allows you to run their music. Never had an issue with it, but just to be careful, I make sure that I give them all the credit in the world, that it is their channel. And so I run their channel in a small window up there, and so you can see who they are. And of course, I also have the no copyright sound YouTube title underneath it, so that you also know where that is coming from. I run a lot of other things, so throwing my picture over there, which is my before and after from 2012, and my logo for my Oath Life business, and the ticker below me. These are all some of the tricks that you can do. And of course, you can buy a monthly subscription from other services, and they have overlays. You can do that, or you can just figure out how to do it yourself. So you can also, you know, switch your scenes and things like that, or you can add other stuff. Like right there, you see pick of the day popping up, and so if I had a picture that I was trying to highlight like that, we can just throw that up real quick. But that's that. So it's a pretty cool way of doing your live streams, especially if you have multiple platforms that you'd like to do it on. And just because I'm using those three doesn't mean it's the only option. There's probably 50 or more different channels out there that you could actually be sharing to at the same time, and a lot of them are free. There are some paid options. But anyway, so that's that. So back to the doctor. What did the doctor say? Well, again, those of you that haven't watched this, I'm going to give you a little bit of the backstory. So I found out just over a year ago. Well, let's just put it this way. During a workout, I stood up after doing 50 sit-ups, and my left arm was completely numb. Not numb in a tingly way, but like no feeling, nothing, gone. And obviously most people suspected, along with myself, that I may have had a stroke, and that was what was causing it. So we got to the doctor, started getting general basic blood work done and discovered, not the cause of that yet, but we discovered that my cholesterol levels were high, my blood sugar was high, my everything was high, you know. So cholesterol, blood sugar, and whatever the other one is, all the fun stuff, blood pressure. And so got put on medications, still didn't know if I had a stroke. Was a very long process with the insurance company to get to where I could get a CAT scan done. So I didn't have the CAT scan until July, and this all started around February 1st. So anyways, come July, get the CAT scan done, nothing comes back negative, and all you jerks don't make too I already know the joke. But so the CAT scan came back negative, and so I was cleared to go back to working out and lifting weights. By September, I was feeling froggy and good, and had to show all the youngins how strong big old man Dave was, and without saying anything, I was back to lifting a lot of weight, and ended up tearing my abdominal wall right in my umbilical area. And I suspect that was actually already a bit of a tear in there that had been there for years, but it ended up tearing more. And what happened from there, that was not fun, because not only was it extremely painful, very red and irritated. One of the things is that your intestines, if they can't get pushed back in, they can get strangulated. And so a couple of things will happen from that. Your body will start to reject things, and I don't have to go into the details of what that means. And your blood pressure can drop to extremely dangerously low levels. And so that was happening to me while I was going through this for a few days. And any normal person would jump in and just run to the emergency room and get it taken care of. But my red personality, first thing I think of is, okay, what's my deductible, and how long will I be off work, and all of the silly things. And so I said, well, if I just calm down and breathe, and we'll see how it goes for a few days, and if I need to, I'll have the surgery. Well, obviously I got things normalized and ended up going in, talking to the surgeon in December, and made arrangements to have the surgery in January, even though I could have had it in December. And again, don't know if this is a guy thing or my personality or what, but it was because of the deductible that I wanted to wait till January. And so deductibles, the way they are, the thought process was, if it's not an emergency, then I may as well wait until one of the first days of January, because I'm gonna pay at least $3,000 in deductibles. And so then my deductibles will be met for the year. And so if anything else happens throughout the year, I'm covered, as opposed to doing it in December of last year, or even November, or October, or any of those other days. Now I only have a month or two left of deductibles being covered, and then if something happened in 2019, you know, I'd be starting all over again. It's that's just how my mind works. Right or wrong, it's just how it is, you know. So had the meeting with the surgeon in December, told him what I wanted to do. He was okay with it, and we set a follow-up meeting before the surgery, which was supposed to be January 4th for January 3rd, the day before. When I walked in his office, he said, "Don't you want to lose some weight before you have the surgery?" And I kind of looked there dumbfounded, like, you could have brought this up in December and we wouldn't be sitting here right now. And so, long story short, he described some of the complications, how much more downtime I was going to have by having the belly fat that I had at the time, and also mentioned that if my blood sugar level was elevated, that he wouldn't perform the surgery anyways. And by elevated, I mean like 180 or higher, at least 150 or higher, anything that's above normal, which is, I don't even know what normal is, 100. That he wouldn't perform the surgery because there's way too much risk being under anesthesia with that kind of anesthesia, whatever, however the hell you say it. So anyways, that's that. I finally made the decision after I said, yeah, we'll go ahead and still have the surgery because I had the money put away and I had already had the time off. But by the time I got back to home, I decided, you know what, this is silly. Let's just wait. And so I asked him what weight he wanted me down to, or how skinny he needed to be, or what measurable did I need. And he said he needed me at a BMI of 35 or lower. Now, he said that only because of my body type, not because the chart says that that is where you need to be. For most people, it's 20 to 25 is the BMI number that they need you to be at for my age and height. However, he agreed that 30 to 35 was the goal I needed to go after. So of course, now it's just a math problem at that point. Now I can just do the math and figure out what is the poundage that I need to be at. For me, that's 244 pounds. So I get down to 244 pounds, and he's gonna feel comfortable with everything. So I started off at 313 pounds and went on what I called Mission 44 because it sounded cooler than 244. And but I probably should have just been clear because that's confusing people. But anyway, so that's just for me to get down to 244 pounds. Now, if an emergency happens, if anything goes wrong, hey, I go in and have surgery. Nobody's gonna not give me surgery. It just means there's gonna be more potential complications. It may not take. You know, there may be other injury or issues that I have because of it. But I could get it done and probably end up having like a biomesh put in, which I would like to avoid. I have had a hernia surgery back when I was playing football at university, and so and then I did have a biomesh put in, and so I know how complicated that can be and how much more painful it can be. So I set out for January of 2020 being the time that I need to be at 244, again because of deductibles. Same reasoning, but I will have the surgery before if it's an emergency, but right now it's not. So let's fast forward to yesterday. So I did my blood work a couple weeks ago. I already knew what the results were, and surprisingly, for the most part, my blood levels for everything they tested were great. We also did a urine sample on whatever else that tests, but at the end of the day, my change from a year ago till now was awesome, which was somewhat disappointing to me because I've been struggling with weight loss, and I suspected that we would find the answers in the blood test. Now, of course, I've been medicated for the last year, but I was expecting to see something that just said, okay, the reason you're struggling with weight loss because I am exercising, I am eating well, I do have my issues with overeating at times, but in the big picture, I'm doing pretty good. So I should be losing more weight than I am. And in essence, depending on the day, I kind of haven't really lost much of anything, maybe 5 pounds in real weight. And that sucks. that is frustrating as hell, and I'm sure most of you have been through it before if you're on any kind of journey. And for me, it's even more frustrating because of the success I did have back in 2012. You see over there. So it's frustrating for me. So I expressed those issues. Well, let's get back to the only red areas. The only thing that were not going well were my blood sugar level is amazingly great compared to what it was. I was at like a 260 or 280, I don't remember what the number was, over a year ago, just over a year ago. And now my blood sugar level, my fasting blood sugar level is like a 127 maybe, somewhere in there. So way better. Still elevated, still off the chart as far as being in the safe zone, but big time improvement. Which, for people that don't understand what diabetes can do to people, the most evident issue is your eyes. That's the thing you're going to notice the most. So your eyes are going to be, your eyesight's just going to start going, and you may chalk that up to old age, but it can be fairly dangerous. And of course, there's the diabetic feet issue. There's some other things. There's the annoyance of urination that happens more often than you'd like. There's just a lot of health signs that you can find. So, but again, amazed. I actually thought that was my biggest issue because I have a needle problem, so I don't do insulin, and they wanted me to be on 2 units of insulin, and it just wasn't happening. So we're using pills instead of injections, and so I suspected that was going to be what we found out, and that was causing me to struggle with the weight loss, but I was wrong. The other numbers that were off was my A1C, but again, big time improvements from before. So I was literally over a 12 on my A1C number, and morning Tina. So I was way over a 12 on my A1C number. I need to be down in the 5, 6 range, and I think I'm at 8 right now, somewhere in there. So again, that's not it. The only other number that was off is my good cholesterol number was lower than it needs to be, or higher than it needs to be, whatever it is, not where it needs to be. Sometimes it's hard to keep track of too high, too low, too whatever, especially things that like cholesterol that you don't really ever test for, or you don't necessarily feel. But good news, the thing about cholesterol and the effectiveness of the cholesterol medication I'm taking, for one, huge improvement. Just everything is going great. However, one of the things that you can do to help with your cholesterol or make the medication work better, which by the way happens to be most of the medications follow this rule, is cardio. So if you never had a reason to do cardio, like a purpose, like whatever, I don't want to do it, I can't do it, or I hate doing it, or I don't see why I need to do it, because no doubt you can do strength training, a lot of people, and get the appearance or physical results that you desire, and you don't have to necessarily do aerobic cardio type workouts. You can do HIIT exercises, high intensity interval training to lose fat. However, so you don't have to do aerobic activity. But interestingly enough, if you do cardio or aerobic activity, it's going to help your medications actually work. And in the case of cholesterol, it is one of the things that you need to do to improve your cholesterol levels, is to do cardio. And I'll tell you, I haven't read any of the real science behind that. That's just what the doc said. I don't have time to be an expert in everything. Rock on. I appreciate, even if he lied to me, because now I'm doing these kind of activities, which I need to do anyways. For heart health, I need to do these things. I will tell you the other number that was what we really thought in the beginning was that it was all related to blood pressure, and that, you know, there was a stroke going on or something else. I mean, weight was an issue because as a ex-power lifter, I put a ton of weight on, you know, in order to be stronger. And so I really, in some respect, thought it was a blood pressure issue, because my blood pressure in February of 2018 was like 160 over, shit, I don't know, it was 160 over 100, 160 over like 105. I mean, it was bad, like you need to be probably admitted bad. So I suspected that was one of the issues. But yesterday, now by the way, I do monitor my blood pressure. I have a small little device that I check it every so often. It goes to an app, and I can kind of track over time. But it's somewhat inaccurate because it goes around my wrist and not my arm. I have a little bit larger arm than most people, and so those cuffs don't actually fit properly. And so anyways, there was some good news, some really amazing news, because I was irritated yesterday, and I thought that one of the results I would have is that my blood pressure would be higher than what it normally is. So I was prepared with all the data in case, just, you know, expecting it to come back really, really high. And it came back like 120/65. Perfect. Couldn't ask for better. Great blood pressure. So this is working, even though I'm not seeing, like, my goal is to lose weight so that I can get my BMI to a certain point. This activity is actually producing the positive results that I need, just not the ones I want, you know. But part of that is you just got to move forward. So, long-winded backstory on this, but here's the deal. So, I expressed my frustration. So listen, man, I have been eating good. This is me talking to the doctor. I've been eating good. I've been exercising. And when things weren't quite working right, I decided to really get serious. And so, you know, I've been on the bike since January 6th. I've been hiking. I've been trying to not eat too much. I've been pretty good and not seeing the weight reduction results. Now, before we get into what he said, just realize I know that biking is not the optimal fat loss tool. I get it. Cardio is not the way to lose fat. I get it. I understand the science, so the gurus can just zip it. But anyway, so I expressed my frustration to the doctor. And I think the first words out of his mouth was, well, we just don't lose weight at our age. We just can't lose weight at our age. And I'm like, mother scratcher, do you know who you're talking to? And in some respect, he's right. But it's because of what I would consider a chemical imbalance. So there's something missing. And so he said, well, it's just our age. And my response to it's just your age, you're not going to lose weight at our age. But by the way, he's fat. So this is his own limiting belief, I think, more than it is fact or science. But my response to him was, well, the surgeon told me he needed me to be down to 244 pounds. And I suspect that the surgeon is a very smart guy. And if this very smart guy knew that my age would restrict me from losing that much weight, that he would not have suggested that I do it. He would have said, well, I'd like to see you at 244 pounds, but you're old as F, so good luck. You need to find something else. Which isn't what he said. Of course, my doctor was kind of dumbfounded. So his next response was, well, then you can have a lap band surgery. And I'm like, holy shit, am I in bizarro land? Did this guy just literally tell me I can have a stomach surgery to lose the weight? And I said, well, here's the problem. I'm not overeating. And I know I talk about overeating here, but I'm not overeating to where a lap band would be the fix. And also, come on. Surgery? Stomach, like lap band surgery? That's your answer? And he goes, well, that's not all it does. Lap band surgery isn't just for shrinking your stomach. I'm like, the F it isn't. That's the whole point of it. To make you feel fuller faster. It doesn't have anything to do with the nutrient. It doesn't change your physiology of how you process food. It just makes your stomach smaller so that you feel fuller faster so you don't eat too much. Okay, next thing, you know, that blew me away. Holy shit. You just told me to have lap band surgery. Nope. Of course, then he went down the path of telling me about all these different weight loss drugs and why they are good and bad and sad and all that. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I said, well, I honestly am not listening to you, because what I suspected in the beginning was that my blood sugar still being elevated might actually be the issue. And so we came to the conclusion that there is another diabetic drug that I could be on, a third one, and that does something a little bit different. And so we've agreed that I will take that. But holy shit, we had to go down this entire path. And just to give you a little bit more of crazy ideas that he had, I thought they were insane. But to give you a little more of an idea of how much this guy was projecting on me and not listening, I said, well, you know, another thing that we've never tested, I don't believe we've ever done a full thyroid exam. And I also know that we've never done a testosterone test. And he started jumping into, well, I don't prescribe steroids. And I just kind of looked at, I had to have been staring at him like totally dumb looking, because I'm like, and finally I spoke up and told him, okay, I didn't ask for steroids and I don't do injections, and so I just want to know, is that what's causing this, so maybe we can work on it? Do I have low testosterone, and is that another factor? And of course he came back with, well, that doesn't affect your weight loss. The F it doesn't. Again, holy shit, dude. What? He's like, and this is just a point of all doctors. Most doctors only know what they know. They are not gurus. And I think it's very dangerous and somewhat of a, I shouldn't use the word, but there's a bit of a malpractice issue there when you start saying things that are not absolute. Of course, he said he was willing to do the testosterone test, but then he never did set the appointment for that blood work. He goes, well, I'd be willing to do it, but, you know, whatever. If you want it, that's all we'd be doing it, just because you want it, not because I could agree with you. Okay. I'll follow up with him on that one to try to get that, because I would like to know, is there an issue there? It's one of the factors that could be causing my body to fight back. I doubt it, but better to know. And this all goes on and on. This keeps going, by the way. This isn't the end of the story. So, the next conversation in that, I said, you know, I'm just trying to find the answers. I said, there's other things that we've never discussed. One of which is that I have these developing probably over a couple of years, and I've never talked about it, and I've never brought it up to him. So it would be new information to him, nothing that he's ever seen, heard, or observed himself. And I told him, listen, I got another thing that we should discuss, is that I've got these lumps that I started noticing over the last few years, and they're getting bigger. You know, there's these lumps in my breast, you know, bone down in there, and you know, it's something that maybe there's something else going on. And obviously I'm leaning him towards the C word. And his response was, oh, those are probably just fatty things. That's nothing. Yeah, don't worry about that. That's nothing. Never looked at it, never touched it, never anything. Just, yeah, don't worry about it. That's nothing. Oh, what? So I have to get through this process with this particular doctor for at least a few more weeks. But I guess if you guys didn't read anything into this, or if you haven't listened to my story over time, because it's been going on for a long time, I don't respect this son of a gun at all. And so I'm going to have to make a change. I just don't know where I'm going to go next. I know there's some people down closer to Detroit, some doctors that are better suited to deal with me, but I also don't have all the time in the world to just drive down to Detroit all the time. And so I would love for there to be somebody here in my hometown, but I'll probably have to bite the bullet and do it and just get on the road and start listening, you know, start getting advice for some other doctors, surgeons, and whatnot. The other thing that I have been reluctant to do and or try is going to some you know, some of these, I call them hippie doctors, but you know, there's a lot of chiropractors out there that really believe in you know, whatever it's called, more natural means of fighting off disease and things like that. And so not only are they chiropractors, but they study and prescribe some of these different methods. And my ex-step aunt, when I talked to her over a year ago in a parking lot, I haven't seen her in years, and her husband were explaining to me that they don't go to a doctor anymore, that they only go to this particular chiropractor that prescribes all the hippity-dippity-doo juice. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but you guys know what I mean. You know, they've got all this more natural way of dealing with things, and so I'll probably actually make an appointment and go see this person and start talking through the issues and just listen to whatever they think maybe I can do. Doesn't mean I'm going to come off medication, at least not in the beginning, but at least getting their thoughts and suggestions and prescriptions of what I can do differently to start fighting this. And here's what I think about those types of doctors, and this is actually why I actually listened to my aunt and kept this in the back of my mind, is because I don't want one that is so, like, you know, hippie-ish that they tell you to never listen to your own doctor. And what I heard from her was, yeah, they understand you still have to be on some medication, but they have other methods that you can also add in additionally. And for me, I think that the other part that I'm looking for, and the reason I'm considering it, is because it will, I feel like that person would listen, where my doctor is already has his own preconceived notions of what I am or who I am or what I'm looking for, or he's guessing there's an ulterior motive because of a lot of shit he said to me over the years. As an example, again, don't want to digress too much, but as an example, whenever I would walk in the office up until this time, he would say, "Oh, you're the bodybuilder, or you're the power lifter, or you're the weightlifter," and I'd be like, I'd say, "No, not me, not this guy." And he's looking at me like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "No, I'm a runner. I'm more of a runner. I'm a cyclist." Yeah, wrong guy. You must be thinking of somebody else. And in other, I know, being an asshole. In other exchanges with him, part of that conversation has been, you know, why is that? It's not relevant. It's not relevant. I'm here because of blood sugar issues, and me lifting weights doesn't affect my blood sugar issues, other than I'm, you know, overweight. That, yes. You know, if you want to have a discussion and say, "Hey, listen, I noticed that you probably lift weights, and if you do, that might be why you're overweight, and let me suggest that maybe you don't be overweight, and that you start doing different types of exercises because your body is showing signs that it can't handle this much mass, and so that's why you're having insulin issues. Your body can't produce enough insulin to get through the extra 50 pounds of muscle you're carrying." Okay, that's logical. That would make sense. Not being a dick to me, because if you're a dick to me, you're going to get Dave's dick response. Put that on a t-shirt, mother effer. So, you know, it just, it's obvious I have to find a different doctor, but I'm willing to be open to the hippie juice and checking that out. I've even considered, so all of you crazy hemp people, don't jump on the bandwagon too fast, even though you may already have. I've also considered going back to CBD oil as another alternative medicine, but I'm going to wait until I see the chiropractor, because if he's who I've been told he is, he probably already has some kind of recommendation similar to that, or he may come back and say, "Yeah, that's great, but that's not what you need right now. There's a different oil or some other witch brew I can give you." Whatever. I mean, I've been in the CBD industry before. Those of you that remember, the first network marketing company to come to the space, I was the 26th founding member of that company. So I'm no longer part of it because the way they wanted to bring CBD to market, they had all of the good stuff. They really did. They had all of the hemp oils, the CBD, you know, they had the purest, the best, you name it, they had it. They were part of the bigger picture in a very large company, and they were just a different marketing leg of that. But they wanted to bring it to market with their main primary introductory product being a vaping pen. So vaping CBD oil. And for me, then not good. Not an option. I'm an ex-smoker, and I don't know how long I had quit smoking for at that point, but when I started using those products, whatever year that was, that's been over 5 years or 6 years now, eventually I started smoking again. And I didn't stop smoking until, again, around 5 years ago. So I knew I wasn't going to be a good steward or a good product of the product for that company, and so that's why I backed off. Not because of the CBD or what the CBD oils could do, but because vaping wasn't going to be definitely wasn't going to be something I was comfortable with. And so because that was their main push to get it to market, and they were smart, it was a marketing play. It had nothing to do with them agreeing that it was the #1 best way of doing or introducing CBD into your system. But so anyways, long story short, I'm not with them. I get what CBD can do and what the benefits are. And so I've even considered, you know, go ahead and getting back down that path to see if that will help. But I think I'm just going to wait till I meet up with this chiropractor, and I'm going to do that in the next month or so. I'll find time to set an appointment, have a consultation, and start going through, you know, at least feeling him out to what he suggests or thinks is best for me, and we'll fill you all in on that later. But yeah, so I couldn't believe it. I guess to summarize some of this, it was unbelievable to me that my doctor was saying the shit that he was saying. You know, hey, should we test our testosterone levels? Well, I'm not going to, I don't prescribe steroids. Like, I didn't ask for steroids. What the hell, where did that come from? I didn't ask for steroids. You know, you just jump to a conclusion suspecting that maybe I'm not doing steroids, and I sure as shit am not injecting anything into myself. Matter of fact, actually, he goes, well, I guess I can, this is how he answered it finally. He goes, well, I guess if you want to get your testosterone tested, I can go ahead and request those labs. But you know that they had to take blood. They're going to stick a needle in you for it. Well, no shit, Sherlock. I understand that. Jesus Christmas. Like, I know I have the issues that I have, but I can get blood work done when I have to. So, obviously, because I just got it done 2 weeks ago. I don't know, frustrating. Very frustrating. The other thing that he did, I forgot to add this to the story, that because I'm going to be on another diabetic medication, I have to do blood tests. I cannot prick my finger. It's not happening. It doesn't matter why. Just can't do it. Won't do it. And so there is I can't remember the name of the company, something Libre, something, I don't know. But there is a tool that I asked for a year ago, and he refused to give it to me, that basically implants a patch that has a small little needle that goes into your arm, and then it has a Bluetooth device attached to it, and you use your phone to make the readings, and you can get those readings at any time. And out of nowhere, I didn't ask for it again. He already said no, and okay, well, but I think because I'm going on new medication, he knows I have to monitor my blood sugar level. More concerned that it will go too low. And so he has now finally written a script for me to get that device. Now it's just a matter of whether my insurance company is willing to pick it up or allow me to have it. And then if they're not, how much is it? But you'll see that in the future once I get that. It'll probably be in the next month or so. And but yeah, that was even crazy. He's like, oh yeah, you're the one that wanted this thing. Yeah, I guess I can do that for you. I'm like, I don't even know. Okay. Just weird. Just weird. We're not a good match. I can tell you that. So because I am having different health issues, I'm going to have to move on to somebody better for me. So if you're in the Lapeer or Detroit area and you have a suggestion, throw it at me. Send me a private message, send me an email, put it on screen right now, whatever. Because I got to move on from my little doctor of craziness. Got to move on. Anyway, so there's my story time for today, guys. How are you doing? How's your morning? What fun things did you do last week? What fun things you doing this weekend? You know, this whole conversation today could have been a lot more about how I've been going with, you know, most of you know that I went to Austin last week and went to a marketing workshop with other marketing professionals just to learn more stuff, you know, more of the methods so that I can be a better coach and teacher to those that are trying to grow their businesses online and have no clue what they're doing. And so we went to this marketing workshop, but the interesting thing, and it was a level 1 workshop, so it was kind of a foundation of this workshops to come. And a lot of the workshop had to do more with mindset and really honing in on who each person there, who their individual actual target market is, who are they actually marketing to, which means you really have to define, you know, who it is that your message is for, and then what is their pain, what things are they struggling with, so that you can specifically help them and give them solutions. And so the danger that you have when you go to anything like that is that you're always really pumped up and excited when you get home. It's natural. But sooner or later, it kind of starts to fade away, right? Oh, looks like Dave froze. Let's fix the Dave froze thing so I don't look like a goofball. Well, if we can. Maybe we can. Interesting. We're going to take Dave off there because that's annoying. But one of the dangers when you come back from workshop or an event like that, or if you go to company events or sales training, or if any of you guys have done anything like that, one of the issues that you have is that eventually the excitement wears off, right? And how do you keep going? How do you combat the fact that, you know, eventually you're just not as excited anymore, right? And so I experienced a little bit of that on Tuesday. Obviously being a little bit tired. It was a very intense weekend and long hours. And I wasn't super motivated as soon as Tuesday. But what helped me was reconnecting or connecting with a lot of the other members of that workshop. And you can say it holding each other accountable, but really kind of supporting each other's efforts and talking, and here's what I'm going to be doing, and here's some things that I'm working on, and, you know, just checking in. And so, you know, I have 3 or 4 people that I connected with closely, and so that's helped. You know, that kind of keeps you on task. And of course, the facilitators of the workshop, what they do to keep you going is they do a lot of quick, you know, spontaneous and or planned, you know, webinars or Facebook Live or YouTube, you know, these different methods of doing it, just to kind of keep the conversation going and reminding you of some of the things that, and just like last Wednesday night, I promoted pretty heavily this webinar for people to be on Wednesday night, because one of the trainers from last weekend was going to present one of the messages that she did to us, and that was how to engage socially online. How do you actually get engagement? How do you grow your your Facebook, customer base. How do you actually get customers out of social media? What are the methods that you need to do it, and what are you doing wrong? And so I had already been presented that last weekend, and of course I went through it again Wednesday night, but I recommended the people to do that. And so I picked up more, and I actually have a training in my back office of this marketing workshop that I can go back and revisit that webinar more than once. And so I am going to, and honestly now I have to, because I suggested to people, hey, if you didn't make it on the webinar, if you'd like my notes, just put a me in the comments below. Well, then a friend of mine did, and then I was like, oh, awesome, man, cool. And then I looked at my notes and went, holy shit, these are terrible. So I was honest with them. I said, yeah, I'll get them to you by Sunday night. That gives me from now till then to go through the training again and write some better notes so that they're more clear to be able to help them. So honestly, if you guys are even on here, if you just want to throw a me on your comments, if you're trying to promote your business online and you think you need some help, which you should, I mean, everybody does. The one thing about the internet is that it's changing every day, and so staying in front of what's working for other people and using them as your own guinea pig, so if some other marketer wants to try something and it works, I'll take it every day. And so if you're interested in getting those notes, I will have them ready by Sunday night. Just drop them me in the comments and I'll make sure you're on that list. We'll connect and we'll talk about it and try to make sure that I understand what you're trying to gain and make sure that this is a solution that you need. I'm also going to be offering, matter of fact, I am offering, we'll figure out when time works, but if you need me to evaluate your website or your profile or what you're doing now for marketing, go ahead and reach out to me for that too. And we'll sit down and just kind of do a quick 15-minute, discovery meeting and see if I have any suggestions for you, things that you can do better. So it doesn't matter what business you're in. You could be anything from a roofer to a chiropractor to a network marketer, direct salesperson, insurance agent, real estate agent. I mean, it doesn't matter what your business is. If you're trying to use the internet to grow your business, and for some of you, you've just been throwing shit to the wall hoping something sticks, and it's not, and all you're doing is spending money or time, both of which are very valuable, just hit me up and we'll at least do that 15-minute deal and see if I can help you. And if I can't, maybe I can put you in the direction of somebody that can, or maybe even a system or training or something I already am aware of that I can just recommend to you, and that'll help you get better. Because at the end of the day, that's really what it's all about. Just keep getting better. Every day wake up, be grateful for what you have a vision of where you're going, and keep getting better. Better and better and better. Matter of fact, some of us, the reason we don't do what we're supposed to do is because of fear. And that's just something you have to get over. Like, for instance, for me, I'm not uber comfortable with standing up on a stage. And that's kind of like one of the #1 fears of a lot of people. I was just trying to hope that maybe this camera wasn't froze, but it is. One more, that should fix it. Alright. Like I said, one thing you gotta get used to when you're doing lives is shit's gonna go bad and wrong and you name it, so it's just part of it, no big deal. Like for me, getting on stage just in front of, depending on the group, I mean, that's tough for me. And so you may have different fears. And then doing this isn't comfortable for me. I've done this since January, but only recently have I started doing it on my personal profile, because that's where all of my friends and family are at. And on my Facebook pages, which I have several, my friends and family, for the most part, aren't there. And so I've been uncomfortable with this way of sharing. But it's important. And it's important because this is where most of my real fans are, which are my friends and family. And I need to be that light for them, for those that need it. Not for everybody. The message I give isn't for everybody. But for those that need it, you know, whatever that nugget is that I share, you know, it's important that I'm here. And that was also part of that mindset training from last weekend, was to realize that this isn't about me. There's somebody out there that needs to hear something I'm saying. For example, my journey right now as it relates to trying to lose weight again, and some of the blood work issues I have. So, you know, this story is important, maybe not for most of you, but for one of you, or a few of you. And so it's worth being uncomfortable and telling the story. And I can also tell you this, don't worry about it going wrong or bad or looking dumb. It'll get better. You do get better. Just keep doing it. You know, my first few streams were, hell, my first month or two of streaming, it was terrible. There were so many issues that it was terrible. Simply put, terrible. And so don't worry about that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Just move forward, keep doing it, be consistent. For me, I will be here every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, no matter what. That's a commitment I've made, and I need to. I am struggling with how am I going to do both, like how am I going to bike outside, which I want to start doing again because the weather's changing, and keep this bike hooked up. So if there was a negative to my direct drive Wahoo Kickr 18 that the bike's connected to, it's that I'm not real comfortable with having to do this and then take the bike off and all that, and then take it to work, and then after work going and riding somewhere. So I've got to work through a few logistical issues there, which hopefully doesn't mean buying another bike, because that's like the easy answer right now. But that could happen. That could happen. I could switch over to buying maybe a used bike on Craigslist and connecting that to the Kickr to do these rides, and then taking my awesome gravel bike and actually getting outside and riding on my off days and then after hours. So but we'll work through all that. The point is that you just got to move forward, keep going, keep showing up, and the right people will be there to listen, and you will be doing it for one of them. Some of them need what you have to offer. Anyways, I've already went past my hour. We're going to finish the ride up. This has been a nice, easy peasy ride. Not very long distance, not big efforts. Just a nice long conversation to get the day started. And as I try to do every time, we're just going to start cranking up the watts to finish off the ride. And we'll see what we get to. Okay, that's it. I appreciate you guys being there. Have a blessed day. Have a safe weekend, and we will see you on Monday.